Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. Let's all rise and pledge the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call to my right, Mario Arietta,
Virginia Allen.
Bob Smith. All sweet. Brittany isn't here at this point, so we'll just have to wait till she shows up or not. Approval of the minutes. Did everybody see a copy of the minutes?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes as they were presented to the town clerk?
I make that motion.
Motion made second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are accepted. Okay, so we'll post the agenda for a couple items on here tonight. To continue discussion presented at the Charter Revision Commission public hearing held on May 19th, and we did talk a lot about the things on that were presented. There wasn't really overabundance of new ideas except for the first selectman set us up quite an extended list, and I don't know if you all had time to think about things. There's a couple things I'd just like to suggest. Number one, the Ethics Commission issue of removing from the charter, I think, is not going to happen. That's in my opinion. I don't want to waste any more time on that. I know we presented, one person in the public hearing presented it. We talked about it. We kind of talked to depth about it. That's one issue I think we need to get off the table. The other is the idea of changing the charter for appointment of the finance director. The charter says what it says, and it stands out. I know it stands out as a board of selectmen hire. It might be contrary to what normally happens, but the language is there and it's been there, and I don't see why we should go back and rewrite that whole issue just because we made an untimely mistake. Okay, I think that's my opinion, and I think we just got to move them two issues off the table, and let's get on some of the other things that may be a little more relevant. We don't have all the time in the world. However, we need to talk about the things that are real relevant, that seem to be. Trav, you spoke a lot last meeting, which was good. You did your homework in depth. Appreciate that. I meant to call you and tell you that. I didn't get a call to you, but you presented a lot of, you took a lot of time for fact finding, and it actually persuaded some members of the board here, maybe all of us, to think a little bit more about some of the issues that were presented. So I want to hear from what anybody else wants to talk about tonight. How you all feel about some of the things that brought up.
Well, I do believe from the police department, maybe a couple other boards, I do believe that they should have some kind of resource for another attorney, because there have been a lot of disputes between upper management and departments. How?
Well, that was really presented, and the only thing I came away with that, I was a little contrary in that meeting because of old history, I guess you would say. Around quite a while, and times do change, and the arguments that were made or the discussion that was held, maybe just thinking when I went home that evening, the next day, the more I thought about it, the key word for me to support that, which I'm prepared to support it, was guide rails, okay, and how support the idea of some type of resources available to the police department, but we need to have some type of criteria and what engages that. You brought a lot of things up, but we can't put all that language in a form of question. We put the question there, but what we got to use the detail. What puts that? What kicks that into play? Who gets notified that we're going to use some resources? These just ideas. I think of that. I honestly believe the Board of Selectmen, the first selectman needs to know if there's something, and you correct me if I'm wrong, if you think I'm wrong, it needs to know, just for the sake that he is or she is the chief executive officer of the town. They certainly don't want to be reading about something in the newspaper or hearing it on radio. I don't know, that's the language that's got to be fashioned up. Okay, so I'm with you on your suggestion, Bob, yes.
So Paul, let me ask a question. If we put that, when we put that question on the ballot,
Yes.
it would read something, shall the
Yeah.
police department, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the background for all of that information be made public on the website through whatever means possible?
Right.
So I think our job needs to be to agree to
Right.
terminology,
Yes.
basically,
Right.
of what goes into the actual charter itself, not the actual thing requested. And correct me if I'm wrong. That's just my thought.
So, I don't want to interrupt you.
You're not, I'm done.
So, if you look what I put together here, and this is, and you have some members here as well, and, you know, they can tell you firsthand on the need for this in the charter. The town has, I don't think it's necessary to put a line item in a police budget to say legal fees for a police department. The town has a line item for legal fees. That legal fees is not for an individual person, that's for legal fees that utilizes for the town. This right here is the exact charter here, 8-2, and if you don't mind, I'd just like to read it just so you know we can all hear it, and then the addition would be the letter D. 8-2, Town Council, A. The Board of Selectmen shall appoint by resolution adopted at a meeting to be held not later than March 15th, a town council which should serve for a term of 1 year. B. The town council shall serve as a legal advisor to the Board of Selectmen, town administrator, and all town departments, offices, and agencies shall represent the town in all legal proceedings and shall perform any other duties prescribed by the Board of Selectmen. If in special circumstances the Board of Selectmen deems it's advisable, it by resolution may provide in addition for temporary appointment of council other than town council. We have a problem there. It's only if they deem necessary. Who is the oversight for the police department?
Correct.
D. This would be in addition. The Board of Police Commissioners shall have the authority upon majority vote to retain independent legal counsel separate from town council whenever the commission determines such representation is necessary to carry out its statutory, disciplinary, investigatory, administrative, or oversight responsibilities, including matters involving conflicts of interest. And the reason why I put that is because all those points that are dotted in there are under control of the police commission. That is their responsibilities. So, for instance, majority of the things, there's no issue utilizing the town's attorney. But when there's some sort of conflict of interest that needs to be addressed, they should have that authority to utilize outside town council and also who specializes in that topic. Not chosen by the Board of Selectmen, who authority rests by state statute and by charter with the police commission.
I don't think any of us are arguing about.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So would you replace C with D and just get rid of C? If this
No,
is.
because that's other departments.
Okay.
The police department and the Board of Ed are the only departments that are governed by another,
Okay. Gotcha.
like a commission, right?
The historical fact, Virginia, of this whole issue, this is where I had real struggle with. When the town voted to put a separate board of police commissions into play, and it passed, they had their reasons. The reasons probably weren't that great reasons, except to take politics out of the police department. That was the big issue of the day, okay? That never worked. That never worked, okay? The idea of it is, if you're going to have a police commission, which we have, you got to accept the fact that the law gives the police commission incredible authority. Now, 100%, you can't have a police commission and they can't have the statutory authority. That's what I had to get through my head and accept. I'm only one of about 5 selectmen, first selectman over time, that wasn't willing to let go of authority, okay? Because we didn't know how it was actually going to be handled and could it cause problems, okay? So the whole idea of the police commission, when you read it and you look at the law, it says that they have authority. That's all you're asking here. is to be able to let the police commission do their statutory job, if necessary.
Correct.
That's really what it comes down
That's
to.
it.
But it's already there in statute. It's just, we don't recognize, I say we haven't fully grasped the idea that you have a police commission and you're not letting them do their job. That's really what it comes down to. So, the people voted for it. We're not doing anything wrong here. The way I look at it, they voted for it. You can't have it without giving them the authority. So we have to, that's really what this is about, is recognizing their authority. Now, these folks are elected. I don't know, I know who they are. I know who they have been in the past. I don't know what they know, but I do know this, that if they're gonna go down the road of a legal road, for whatever the reason may be, they need to have guidance from an attorney. There's no way a layman or no way an everyday person can know, except for Trav, the bottom line is can really know where they're going, and you certainly they have a right to be protected. So that's what it comes down to, just that simple. It's required by charter. I tried to figure out was there a way that administratively could be done, but if you try to do it administratively, it's going to come right back to the same old story. Just circle itself again. That's my opinion.
90% of the time, it's going to be the town's attorney. It is in those situations where they need that outside counsel. And again, the commission, several members of the commission are here, and this was discussed in great detail, and it is clearly needed. And again, I know we don't want to keep hammering the whole point is I handed out that sheet is the politics has no business in law enforcement. Does it always squeeze in there? Of course it does. We have to do our best, and I think we owe it to the people to do our best to ensure we can try to eliminate that. At the end of the day, they have tremendous responsibility and oversight of the police department, and they need to be able to have that and have that guidance whether it has to do with me, or let's say I have a great relationship with the town's attorney, and now there's an issue with me as a chief. They're going to use that town's attorney who I have a great relationship with? No. It doesn't make any sense. So I think it's clear that this is a necessity that we should address, my opinion, on behalf of the commission as well.
And C does give the board of selectmen the authority for any situation that might come up that they need to deviate away from their appointed counsel, like first of January, whatever it is, and hire someone on the outside. That's been done. So I think the way you got it worded is settles. Look, it actually gives you what you're looking at. Now the question is, will the town buy in? That's what it comes down to. But are you all comfortable with this decision? Is there a motion to vote on it? Yes,
Motion to approve the wording as is.
Second.
Second by Virginia. Any more discussion on this issue? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, so you're taking good notes, right? Okay. Yeah, you're meditating. So we got that. Three things we've done already now. We've gotten away from the ethics, we got away from the appointment of finance director, and now we've dealt with this issue here. What else do we have on our mind tonight? And Virginia, it'd be nice if you could look at some under the language that led. I think, Trav, we've got to have some language that led us to this question and put it on the ballot. Somebody.
Well, I think it has to go to our legal counsel anyway, and he's the person that would actually determine, right, with the word. The attorney comes up with the word. Okay,
The presentation's fine, the research is fine, somehow we got to fit that into the narrative, of the question.
Because they're going to get lots of
Okay, what else come up there?
town manager, or town manager,
Well, I can't tell you we're not going to touch it. I said, I made a statement that I don't think that the town could be totally educated enough to put it on a ballot for this fall. I just don't think we can do the work that, we can believe in it, but it's gotta also, the current administration's gotta believe it, the town's gotta believe it, and they have to accept the fact that town is growing and things do change. Yeah. Well, I read it.
A full-time selectman and
Well,
administrator.
and here's the thing, here's the great thing about technology, right? We talk about how there's gonna be so much that has to be changed within the charter. If we start talking about a town manager, a town administrator, again, talking about understanding the differences, and I think I handed out the sheet that explains the differences of a town manager and administrator. So for me, my aspect is an administrator role, not a town manager. It fits me, I think, in a town our size. So with technology, I was able to dissect the charter on what things we would have to look at if we decided to at least push it forward or not. And that also encompasses the change of the selectmen from 3 to 5. Again, I didn't give them the paperwork or keep picking trees, but this right here, this is the newest one. This identifies each section of the town charter that would have to be addressed. And I know that you're probably tired of hearing me talk already, but I'll be more than happy to go through it, the sections, unless you want to read it on your own.
Well, the first thing I see right away is no first selectman. You have to have a first selectman. Statutory, certain things say when is a first selectman is a meeting legislative body that's worded that way.
So I could not find that you would have to have the first selectman, because the administrator would play the role, would be the chief executive officer, but he's going to be managed by the board of selectmen. Again, we have to get that legally clear.
I've seen that where they have, there's a first selectman, but he doesn't have like a full-time job. He just gets a stipend, but he actually runs the board of selectmen.
Well, that gets into the chairperson
Okay.
of it, and it's actually here.
Just so you know, had a lot of dealings, well, in some of the work I do on the side, the town of Seacon, Massachusetts. They have administrators, they have a 5-member board of selectmen, they call the chairperson the select chair, for whatever terminology, but that's how it works. The administrator comes in, the administrator becomes the CEO, but the 5 selectmen are the policy writing people. They are the ones doing the underwriting of all policy procedures, and then they get adopted, okay, and it's up to the administrator to carry these things out. It's also up to the administrator to know the latest issues and change of law and finance, and there's other things that he or she is responsible for. So it works very fine. It's been in place for, I think, 11 years in Seacon. That's the only example I got. I think Vernon has something like this. I'm not sure.
A lot of them do it separate, like Putnam, they have the mayor.
Putnam,
and there's a part-time.
they still have the mayor. I don't know.
And mayor and administrator.
Right.
Administrator's full-time, Sinead's part-time.
Yeah.
He makes like 50 every year. Well, like I said, they also have one where they have a board, they're selectmen, they have a first selectman, which is the chair, he's on a stipend, a little bit more than,
Well,
but he's still master of ceremonies and.
before we go into this, I just want to go back to a few things that were presented at the public hearing. We talked about this, the real estate sales should be a referendum regardless. What was the consensus of everybody here?
Yeah.
All right with that, right?
Yeah.
Reimbursement policy, that's an internal thing, policy, that's an internal thing. You look into something that requires audits, especially being done in a timely fashion. I mean, I don't understand that. That's just a long-term problem. My understanding
And
this
it's
year.
going to continue to be a long-term problem. So that also is a policy issue, and that's contractual between the town and the auditing firm.
Mhm.
I don't see that that the charter would have any oversight over something like that, because again, it's operational. Bob?
I would say, kick it back to, well, it used to be in November.
Yes.
They used to have them filed by December
Yes.
31st.
Yeah.
I don't know what that statutory.
A lot of changes took place. You remember, we let go of an auditor back in those days, and the whole problem had been, I don't know how it was this year or last year, but up to now, the school has never got their books in order in a timely way in order to get it presented to the auditor. I don't know what's going on now, but it seems to me that people that are being paid professional money, and there's expectations that come with this, and it was frustrating for me back then. It can be frustrating now, but it all comes down to you have a time frame that the auditor is looking for information to start some work. Then you have another time frame when you, okay, boys and girls, hand in your material that we put in a big request for you, and then now, if I remember, didn't they move the annual town meeting from November to January now?
That's in February.
February now.
Yeah,
Well, that's close. That's close to budget season. It's very close. And boy, if you don't know something by February, and there was a time, this a couple of years ago that we went to budget here and we didn't have a clean audit yet. And I'm not saying, I'm not accusing anybody, but you can't do those kinds of things. You gotta have an audit that's done so you know where you're starting from.
I mean, in the charter, doesn't it, we can put it there when they have.
But I kind of agree with Virginia, what she says. I mean, this is internal stuff between management, of the town and management of the school, and the auditors all getting on the same page. It seems to me that, there's enough professional people there that could, with today, how come you can't close on a book?
Well, Lynn can back me up in our last meeting. I can tell you that the current climate between the Board of Education and our finance director seems to be really good. They work really well
Good,
together.
very
It's
well.
like, I think so. We're getting very timely reports both from the finance director and the Board of Education. So I really think that, and this is from my accounting background, for this commission to make those kinds of mandatory dates, I don't necessarily think it does us any good. I think that there needs to be some wiggle room if something comes up that an auditor needs to dig more deeply into. They're going to need that time. And I'm not saying that should be every year, but I'm also thinking that to make that something that's in the charter with a drop dead date, I don't even know that we can do that.
What happens if you don't meet it? Now, how are you going to enforce it?
Right.
What are we going to do now? What's the penalty? Here we go.
Right.
I think it's something that we shouldn't even look into.
I think let's give these folks a chance. You had some changes here. Really, I really have faith in the whole system. Today, computerization, I mean, I really think that, let's face it, we had some dissension there between one place and another. Now, I think things are starting to get a little better. We got to give it a chance, and for us to try to regulate that to each
And
other.
that might be something that they want to do.
I agree with you.
Down the road.
My opinion, I agree with you. That's all my opinion. And I think you're right. Leave it alone. Yeah, right. Now, talking about this, anything over these targets of, over 50,000 goes to town meeting. Anything up to 49.9 was town meeting, right?
Yeah.
Anything over 50,000 goes to a referendum.
Town meeting and the referendum.
Yeah, it's a very low number, I will tell you that. However, I know we got fiscal hawk over here, and I appreciate that because we might be the only two of us in town. But the fact of the matter is, it's the system we got, and it was raised last time. I think it was Mario about this cost of living possibility of somehow tying these benchmarks of 10,000 for, up to 10,000 the selectmen after that. I don't know the mechanism, how it would work, but how you would tie cost of living into this. I don't know how it would
Trav
work.
did that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to us, Stratton.
Okay, I'm actually did even more in depth on this. The spending power, if we keep it as is, we're running off 1983 numbers. Right now, it's about $4,400 for the 10,000. That's about $4,400 today. That's what the true numbers are. They're old. They're just not up to date. And the fact is that there's a whole chart about, on these, we don't have to go overboard. So we can't tell the public saying, all right, well, we're gonna have this incredibly large number because we never revisit. No, what you do is you lock it to today, to what would be the 1984, and 10,000 in 1984 is 30,000 today. That's it. That's the buying power. That's with inflation and all the other miscellaneous. That's locked in. And then you tell people, you know, if you want to change those numbers, build a time machine. I'm pretty sure we can find a DeLorean somewhere. But the point is, 10,000 in 1984, 50,000 in 1984 is 100,000 today.
What's wrong with those numbers?
Nothing, because they haven't been approved. Because last time it was,
What was it last time?
50,000 and 150, now it's 30 and 100. All doable, all defensible, it's a simple calculator.
Okay, let me ask you this question. So how many times are you going to come before the Board of Finance or go to the selectmen and say, I need 30,000, I need 100,000? That's my concern, is that there's multiple requests for the maximum amount within the same fiscal year.
If you got a point, I mean, how many appropriations, how many times someone comes for an appropriation?
It doesn't address how many times, you could do that now, 10 times.
Yeah, you could,
Yeah.
the number's big enough.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I get it. I don't think you're gonna have to put a max on it, but I think that's gonna be hard to do that, depending on what happens, right? There's things that happen that, hey, we need to get this sooner than later, or we're gonna spend 200,000 if we don't. And I already came to you for 30,000 before, so now I'm coming to you for 50. I get it, but I mean, even if we didn't even want to go to today's numbers, but either we change the process completely, or we have to do some sort of increase to somewhere today.
I would say, what does statute say? Doesn't it say one appropriation per year per department?
I wouldn't do that. Some departments got more
State
activity
statute
than
or
others.
state statute?
I can't see the state limiting how many times.
Oh, okay.
That's
One
my
of our
recommendation.
stuff.
I can't see them limiting the department.
I'll look at it.
Why?
I guess so.
We built in, this has been, what, 30 years? 40 years. 40 years since the charter's been adopted, 42 years. Is that right? 84 to now is 42 years? So it's the last, I don't ever remember changing that number. Those numbers been at 84. They were there in 84. I wasn't here for 84. They were there when I came, so 89. No, I was not around.
I don't think those numbers are ridiculous.
But you know, guys, I will tell you, it costs money to run a town.
Correct. And that's where I was getting at, was that you may want to be absolutely restrictive, going, no, we don't want those numbers. Now we're going to have to trade more town votes. And every one of them, I think the number was thrown out, was like $2,000 for people printing all the other stuff. So you may find that people not want to, but then you're offsetting it with the number of votes. And so that becomes real expensive, and those are the secondary and tertiary costs. And no, it's a moot point. You're just throwing money away for the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, I can tell you right now, those numbers that are there today are just not up to date. And something's got to give here. I don't know how you put the guide rails up, so to speak. It's not my term, but it seems to me, I don't know if this is a charter thing that you revisit the cost of living every 10 years. You know, you bring it up now, but this isn't something that happens every year. You have to put cost of living in there every year.
What you do is that every time there's a charter revision, you can have it right in there saying that it needs to be revised. Adjust it for coal, adjust it for everything else. You know, maybe insurance goes through the roof, maybe not, who knows? But you don't know what the future is, so you just make it a note right now that there's another charter revision, probably in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever, revisit this.
So you would have, like, let's just say these are the numbers, just for talking sake. These are the numbers, and then you have the caveat that upon the next charter revision, they must address these numbers whether they're adequate or not.
Correct?
Similar to that there.
Bingo. Problem solved.
The elected's going to decide whether it's appropriate or not.
So we're gonna let people decide to move this 42 years later after
It has to get moved soon.
it's gotta be moved, it's gotta be moved in
Because soon
order.
we're gonna have a town meeting for paper clips. I'm not wrong. At the current rate of the things, that
Guys.
basically, it's not adjusted, there's no ability to adjust.
The amount of fuel the government uses and the school uses,
Yeah.
and I know the school gets paid back, but you know that's gonna get put in their transportation. It's exceeding these numbers, okay? So, you know, how do you prepare for that? You come back and ask for more money. If you, I agree with Travis, that somehow if we can get the language where we need it, okay? That maybe you can put some language together the next time we get together on this one issue,
Gotcha.
okay?
You can also tie it together with the grants, because the grants have a similar threshold. And so you tie them together to clean it up, solve two problems and stuff.
In 2021,
But-
we had two questions on there about the money, the same type thing, and they both failed.
Yeah.
And then in 2022, two questions again.
But this
they
time
both
we're coming
failed.
around with a different language, it's not a trick. We're actually coming around with a consumer price index and saying, hey, listen, we're trying to do business here and we're stifling ourselves. And it could cost us by not doing it. But the way it was worded, everybody sees that number and they just want to keep it. They're not seeing what it costs.
That's what you do, is you have TVs now, you can just put up, if you don't, you're gonna be here January, February, March, April, oh, and every time we have to open it, is this. So that $10,000 turns into $18,000 because we couldn't say, we couldn't get it 30.
By having the caveat too, not that it's likely gonna happen, but what if there's a time where we need to address it and go back? You know what I mean? Not likely, obviously, but it still gives the opportunity for the next charter commission that they have to address that. And that has to be on the list.
Yeah.
When you said about the grants, that hasn't been an issue that's been raised. Is that the issue about paying over $10,000?
Yeah, that was in there as well, because another vote, another thing, keeping in all these things, electricity, thanks to Connecticut, we got pretty goddamn high. And so just keeping the lights on to vote is gonna cost more, to get people in here, to pay people in here, I mean, just all these costs, sitting on an Excel spreadsheet, 3 votes in, you're already wiped out, any vote, any benefit.
All right, well, special assignment then, you do a little work in this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, it looks like you got a lot of it in front of you now, but maybe you can put it into wording, and then we can also have the detail, how we got it.
Yeah, I got that, no worries.
So I just want to just clean this up a little bit.
Just real quick, how many questions are we looking for here?
Everybody's saying 5. I'd like to squeeze in many.
You know, like, sometimes I've seen just 2 pages, I'm like, I don't see why there's that many questions. Some of them are not.
There was one year, I think there was like 14.
They
Oh, it was crazy.
They just-
Yeah,
Nobody's gonna pay this to raise
crazy,
it.
yeah.
I always like to tell people, what is the good and the bad? You decide which one, because this spending limit, as far as I'm concerned, is so low of an issue, it should have just been automatically addressed, because we're now going to spend more money as time moves along, have more votes, and those little signs on the street, do you think they just suddenly pop up, the Smurfs just pop up? No, you gotta have people go out there, you have to order them, when they get damaged, and then retrieve them, and hourly labor rates, and then costs on the vehicle, and gas. I mean, it costs you, what, $40 just to put those signs up, in one person. For me, it's a no-brainer.
There's costs that people don't know about.
Yes.
We can throw the numbers out.
And I want to visit one more thing that we talked about, and we go on to the civil preparedness situation.
Yep.
You talked at length, Trav, about that.
Yeah.
And we have to identify somebody, right? And civil, to meet the statute, you've got to have someone appointed or recognized as the civil preparedness director.
Correct. That's the exact words of Connecticut General Statute 28-7. Civil Management Director. Emergency Management Director.
Now, can that be, tell me who that can be?
Great point. Well, you have to elect somebody here. It can be elected by the Board of Selectmen, they can act as a group, so for lack of better words, Mario could be thin, and you could get 2 other people underneath there. Could be fire districts, could be, it has to be somebody. And the thing is that, a prime example is what just happened, I think it was in California, with the chemical issue that's going on right now. That's a 14-block radius, and that's exactly why this was made. So when the states show up, who do we talk to? And what have you done, and what's important?
You have to appoint someone that has the knowledge that's involved in this.
Correct.
You know, we had a person at one time retired now, for better or for worse. The person was on top of things, but had some bad luck when events actually happened. He had to be on vacation a lot, but and not in town. But the police are always here. The fire department's always here. We do know that the chief executive officer, I think, under the statute, doesn't he have responsibility?
The fire marshal is the emergency,
Yeah, I mean, that's somebody,
Director.
yeah,
so
So is
that might
that,
be the guy.
he's the emergency director.
okay, so is that really a question
I don't
for?
think we need to address it.
I don't
Okay,
either.
Because I think it's in
Or do we
there.
just
Leave it
suggest
as
we
be right
rewrite?
now. We have an emergency
Okay.
operations director, and that's fire marshal. And, you know, I think we do a great job planning with our fire departments, our law enforcement. I don't think that's something that we need to address right now, in my opinion.
I agree.
Trav said it
But
last
doesn't the language,
week,
but
that to meet a couple of times a year or something and cover.
Yeah, and they're already meeting. Add the 2 minutes of the paperwork. So that's it. It's all, because if you're already doing it, you're just not document it, and then you do it. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is too, and I say just because of the fact of, you know, I got an email from the emergency management director, fire marshal, that, you know, we had a meeting with all the fire chiefs, and the ambulance, and the police chief, next month. And we just had it last month. So we meet regularly, and discuss, you know, operations and plans and stuff that we need to do.
Is there any representation from 911?
Yes.
Yeah, so you meet all your obligations. It's just a
We
matter-
have a double whammy there because we have the Plainfield fire chief also leads the operations manager at 911.
Oh, okay.
So and then we have all the fire chiefs. If fire chiefs can't be there, we have a representative for each fire department.
So I don't think it's anything we need to.
I think for our standpoint, I think we have other topics that we can really hone in on and
Excuse me, public health.
public health. Good point. But we also meet regularly with Northeast District Fire Health. And we have an emergency alert system for them too.
Okay, so here's where your situation was as a child. A civil preparedness advisory council shall consist of 7 members, including representatives of fire districts. So, the first selectman was asking for us to look at that.
Reduce the numbers.
How can we put up something that is it necessary to have a 70-man?
He's saying delete it.
Huh?
He's saying delete it.
No.
Can't do that.
Yeah, that's
No,
what
you can't delete it. I thought we were looking for.
Yeah, we can reduce the number.
Correct.
Cleaning up and deleting.
It's too rigid.
But it's-
That's the problem.
That would be up to Mario and Fire.
Yeah, I think that's something that we would
How
have
they
to.
want the size of the console.
We never, yeah, I can tell you all the years my advisory council, there was, and just telling you what I know, because the fact of the matter was, it was just the way it was. Fire marshal, police, fire departments, ambulance corps, these guys, all men and women come together and got the job done. They had everything covered, everything. So, looking at this advisory, you can go appoint 7 people, and they may not have one idea what they're doing. I can tell you, when something real bad starts to happen, they're not gonna know what to do anyway, and the police and authorities are gonna have to step in. That's the way it is. I think if we could, is this something we're gonna do here, or?
Yes.
If we're gonna change the charter, we gotta put something there.
Yes,
Right.
yes, and so basically what we do is we remove the entire thing is just trash. It's
Yeah.
just garbage. But the point is that you rewrite it in a way that one removes, when's 1985 doing there? Who knows? The term of 4 years doesn't matter. Sometimes fire people, in emergency move away, whatever. It's all garbage. But the point is you put in a generic one that'll last and makes reference to chapter 517 of the Connecticut General Code. It's at the behest of the Board of Selectmen. They shall serve at the pleasure of the board, which means you're 1 year or 10 years, doesn't matter. Maybe you want to be in it. And maybe Mario gets promoted even more. Who knows? It doesn't matter. But the point is, you pick 3 people, meet twice a year. If you're already meeting, do 2 things on a quick report form. We met, we discussed about it, and wrap. And we're done. And this will lock it down for decades.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're looking at the sheet of paper that the first letter gave us, because, you know, whether we agree or don't agree, I just want to make sure we nail this stuff. Okay, so, where are we now, guys? What do you want to?
So that would be a question?
So we have to reword it?
Yeah, and that has to be worded right for the charter. It's gotta be, so the definition, he's using the state statute, and you make reference to the statute, has amended from time to time, I don't know how they.
Well, even then, if they amend it, it doesn't matter to us, because it's on the state, but this is so wide that if things change, we don't have to revisit this for a very long time.
Yeah, okay.
I think you have a little bit of homework.
So, here we are. Is there anything else before we start talking about town meeting?
Yes.
Tonight, yes, go ahead.
So, housekeeping. One, I was wrong about the Ethics Commission, and kind of right. One, the state has no law requiring you to have an Ethics Commission in town. Unfortunately, the state has never, ever taken, and they've never taken any ethics complaints, period. They have never done it, and there's not been a single case. The only problem is now you've got yourself a loop, is that if you have a problem locally, the only way to do it is to bring people to court. But if it's just ethics, the state doesn't, the court system doesn't care about your ethics, it cares about the law, and that's a problem. And there are tons of towns that had a problem, and they couldn't get it solved. And when you start bundling it, it becomes a nightmare.
Plainfield one of them.
Well,
I can tell you, it can become a nightmare.
yeah, so the Ethics Commission has to stay in some way, because one, it gives a vehicle to the people to make a complaint, period. It's at the end of the day. The regional will take it if it's a regional issue, but that's, for lack of a better word, it's a bit of a wild west right now. The state doesn't care, the region doesn't care, you have to care at the local level, and the state isn't going to do anything about it, so period. Second, yeah.
No, go ahead, Chad. Go ahead.
So I did even more research. Technically, nothing changed for the police commission on the thing. It is a conflict trigger. That's it. You send that to the police. To the legal. Right up. You're done. You get everything you wanted. And there's not been a case over $13,000 in the entire state. At our current level, I mean, that could be easily approved. Now, here's the beauty was the law slightly changed, and if the conflicts between the departments and the Board of Selectmen, the police can just go to the Board of Finance and direct, and just go, you know what, we have such a conflict, we don't even ask you to have your permission, we're going to go right to the wall. And that's how it is. And they can get that approval very quickly, and the two can separate and then collapse when done, and everyone walks away, and it's actually cheaper than most other stuff. So, yeah, spending limits, not a big thing. Audit timeliness, there's only thing at the state level is that they're required by June 30th that you have it, and if not, you will get a $10,000 fee by the end of the year. So
you have to ask for an
extension, correct, and that's not going to happen. But yeah, I don't see that many more. Maybe you're right. Probably 4 questions left, and that's it before discussion. That's it.
Okay. Sir, I want to recognize you, but I don't have a public hearing section. I want to recognize you, but I'd rather not maybe talk after.
Yeah.
Okay? I understand you want to make a point, but if I do it, then I got to open the whole floor to everybody, and we chose not to have public.
You can rescind. Basically, you can go out of Robert's rules and ask people, and then go back into Robert's rules. Say you could basically say Robert's rules was rescinded for exactly 15 minutes or 5 minutes.
One thing on our agenda, it has something pertaining to item number 2, to hear any and all new recommendations or changes to the commission at tonight's meeting. I can recognize that.
Okay.
All right, but I don't want to open up to everybody. We'll never get nothing done. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we've set pretty much where we need to be. Some of the 4 or 5 things that we narrowed down. Is there anything tonight from the public, from anybody at the table here that is charter related?
Yes.
Yes,
Upon review in more depth in the town administrator, it opens up a briar patch of legality and problems. And truthfully, I don't think the administrator at our town level is going to work. Now, the state statute for expanding to 5 members of the Board of Selectmen is if you have over 10,000 citizens in the town, if you have 15,000, you can do that. Under 10,000, it's 30. But when you put in a town administrator, there is a bundle of joy from other towns at which it was abused and taken advantage of. I'm going to be a hard no on a town administrator. I'd rather expand the Board of Health. And by state law, there would be a minority representation of 2 individuals. One, yeah, the only really major problem is stipend extension and time. You'll have 50% longer Board of Selectmen meetings, but you'll have people that have greater satisfaction. And with the town administrator, unelected, you can't challenge them. Even when the Board of Selectmen change out, it's a nightmare. I'm going to be a hard no on that. It just doesn't make sense. And so I'm going to say expand it to 5. We've got all of the keys to make it happen. And it's a simple vote. It expands minority representation. Also, it allows people to have a greater voice, because if 2 of these selectmen are talking and in a 3-person, that's a quorum. That becomes a Board of Selectmen meeting, even if having coffee somewhere. Beginning at 5 enters in all those safeguards, and then people they don't like the position, unelect them, get them out. You can't do that with the town admin.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm not agreeing with everything you're saying, okay? I think what you're presenting is a very worst case scenario, okay? But if the town administrator is hired, the person's got to be qualified. Obviously, you got to qualify.
You got to put out a bond. You got to put all this stuff.
Whatever it is. And some towns have 2 town meetings a year. And that's how they do. They do all their business. Might be 50 items on that town meeting that night, but they do all their business. There's a lot to it, but I'm not. You being a strong no, I think you're looking at the worst case situation. Myself, I still won't leave it open. I don't think we need to change the form of government, but I have clearly said we've got to look at the administrator and look at.
I thought we were going to table that piece, but look at the Board of Selectmen, moving that to 5.
Yeah. But Mario continues to give us stuff, and we continue to have to look at it. And the fact is, you're right. I thought 5 is where we need to stop.
Yeah.
We got to stop somewhere. I bring administrator to change to 5 all at once. I think.
Trav had a perfect quote. We're at 10,000, 15,000, and generally speaking, towns of our size have boards of selectmen of 5 members, not 3.
Correct.
So, when that started back in the dark ages, 3 was probably perfect, because we probably had 2 people.
It was different. It was different.
Right. Well, now we have 15,000, so that's something that really does need to be addressed.
I think for me, I think there's no dispute in the fact that you need to increase, for my opinion. I don't think there's any dispute coming from me from that aspect. I think that's a necessity at a fair vote.
Yep.
I do believe, and that'll have to be changed too, that it should be a 2 to 3 or a 3 to 2. I don't think it should be a 4
But you're
to 1.
suggesting that it's just a 2-party system. It's not a 2-party system anymore, folks.
Yeah.
So you need to
Yes,
think about that.
correct. And so.
Well, then I think you say no more than 3 for that party.
Right.
That's how you,
Okay.
no more than 3 from one single party, or that party, however it's worded.
But actually, I have all of them, and right now, Killingly and Wyndham, they have the town councils and council managers. They have 9 in Killingly for their, and Plainfield is a standard 3, 1x2 or 3-person, and Putnam at 9,500 has 7. They have a mayor system.
Yeah.
So, but the point is that unless we want to completely rumble the whole foundation of the government here, just expanding 2 more seats and we're done.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
easy.
Yeah, it's easy.
As far as I'm off for by that.
Yeah.
I'm still learning as an administrator, just for the continuity. Because if we're still doing it every 2 years for the board of selectmen, I have that continuity of somebody that's in that.
Regardless of who that selectman seat is, and you were there for a lot of years, not for nothing, 2 years is difficult to accomplish your task or whatever that you're trying to do, regardless of who's in that seat. 2 years is very difficult to accomplish that. And to have a professional in there who has the training, the experience, to be in there and the continuity that you're going to have on a transition of a change of selectmen, that you still have that person that's there, I think is huge. Because it's difficult. How many people came in for 2 years? What did they do? I mean,
I agree, your first term is
you're learning.
incredible, and if you come into a real tough time, it's a real tough time. And before you know it, you gotta either say you're gonna run again, or you're not. It's really not fair to any human being, I don't care who it is. That first term, 2 years, is just terrible. It's hard, and,
I'm not saying I want to increase it to 4 years, I'm just saying.
no, but it is, you're right, in all fairness, it's just not an easy situation.
Conference, the only one that has a 4-year term.
Everybody else is two.
Waterford,
Yeah.
4-year term.
Everybody else is 2, seriously.
Sterling has a 4-year selectman term.
Yeah, Waterford.
But they're very small, they're under 10,000, that's.
No, there's a couple of big ones that have 4 years.
Yeah.
So what would we,
But they have.
what would happen if we suggested that?
Right.
Just so
Five
you
years, I
don't
think
know,
all
okay.
the 5 years.
He's only
Okay,
for
five
five.
five members. But what if we stagger?
Really approach it the way we should.
I think,
But then we can't get off the ground, then
you gotta do it, you gotta have it. At some point. We gotta find out.
I'll be there, all right?
I just-
We're gonna
So, Travis, you're a strong no at this point, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. All of us, I think, I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but, we feel we don't have enough time to educate, to look at all of it, and, but we do have some time to move this board of selectmen into at least 5.
Yeah.
And we ought to promote that and push that, because we're the only town that, unless you're a real small open town, you only got 3 people. And, Plainfield needs 5 at least,
Yeah, and we can base that on the demographics that you.
all over the place.
The
Every town
demographics, the state law is clear, it's 10,000, and it's 3, 5, 7, and you can change the form of government after that. And yes, the statute is clear, you can do that. There's no recorded in Connecticut of anyone going down from 5 to 3. The closest in the Northeast is Norwell, Mass. 5 years ago, and it never made it to a vote. So the point is that people like it. It's an easy sell. It allows people that couldn't be heard for one reason or another, and depending on who you like and don't like, at least you'll now have more representation.
You do, it's gonna be a bigger
So you should
conversation.
make that one question and then let people decide what they want to do.
A lot more.
So-
Yeah.
So, Trav, you're gonna do a little bit of work on some wording, right?
Yes,
Okay.
got it.
And,
I bring this up.
I think next meeting, for sure, we need to talk about this five-person board, okay? Put something into play. You got anything else you want to add tonight? Anybody tonight? All right. I think we made some decisions here to take the most important things and
So
get
we're
it.
gonna cross off the administrator for now?
I don't want to cross it off, but we're not going to move forward with it for this job, for this change. You can cross it off, if you want to make it feel better, but we'll be back again.
And, you know,
So right now, we're at 4
for the
questions.
questions for this charter.
Right.
Which ones we're gonna go with? The
Police
police
commission.
department,
Yeah,
the 5-member,
yeah.
Oh, definitely.
The civil management wording.
civil prepared.
I don't think that's a question, I think it's more of a, well, it has to be a question.
It has to be a question because you're
Yeah.
changing that part of the charter, so.
And then the increase in funding.
Yeah.
So we're at 4 questions right now.
All
Wow, that's good. You're on number 2. You already got things done.
So
Now,
both of the money questions
Pick
tonight?
fights.
Yeah, all right.
the biggest issue is gonna be this financial, trying to get this, the date for, 42 years, we've been moving numbers. Those are pretty good numbers back in 1984.
Yeah.
They were pretty high numbers.
Yeah, and I don't, it's not that I object, please understand.
No.
I don't object to the increase in the numbers at all. I understand the need for that. And concern is too strong of a word. My thought process is that, and here we go again with the term, there has to be some kind of guardrails. We can't have people just willy-nilly saying, "Ooh, let's go to them and
Yeah.
tell them we need blah, blah, blah." I mean, we've got this stuff happening right now where we don't have information to make an appropriate decision on issues that are facing the town, because we're not being given the background, we're not being given the proper documentation. And so what I'm saying is, and I don't know that that's necessarily a charter piece, or is it a policy piece, once the charter is in place, that the policy that gets written to state what's required to channel into those.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
At all? Okay.
Yeah, basically, you can't just, you just put it in a
Caveat.
in a financial year, then you say, this is the number of requests you can make, or if this number exceeds this amount, then you can say, something's wrong. Why do you keep coming back?
Yeah.
There's gotta be some catch, there's gotta be a fail safe.
And I don't think that's ever happened before, but I don't, going down the road, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see people's time being wasted because Joe Schmo from department whatever wants, $100,000 to buy a chainsaw because he's mad at his wife.
Well, you must know government financing, $10,000 hammers, $25,000 toilet seats, yes.
And he says, and I've said this at board meetings, we can't be throwing spaghetti strands against the wall and just expecting them to stick. Give us specifics. That's my thing.
But I get to issues with these numbers, and I look at the fact is, when we talk about it, having a police department or any police department, everything's expensive. And even in today's society, when I look at things that the state mandates upon me to do, when I look at, the recording of our phone calls, right? If my voice logger goes down, I need $20,000.
Of course you do.
But why am I going to town meetings and for this number that is so minute?
But you shouldn't have to.
But I have
No, but this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying if we're going to change the numbers, the only concern that I have is that the departments understand that when you're bringing a $100,000 request to us, or what did we say we're going up to here?
30 and then 100,000.
30 and 100,000. You're going to come to us with a $100,000 request. You better have your backup.
Yeah, you gotta have detail. You gotta have the detail. Yeah.
So that was my only concern with that. I don't have any problem with the numbers whatsoever. That's my sticking point.
I just have one other thing, that's it, and then I'll definitely be quiet. And it's just my opinion, we talk about how there's not this time, but we were put into this position for a reason. And if you hear time and time again, you're not hearing people out there in the public talk about increasing our spending powers out in the public. You're not going to hear that. What you have heard for months and months and months and months is looking at a town administrator or a town management type of form of government on whether or not it will work for us. We would not be doing our due diligence if we do not try to dive into this deeper. That's all I'm saying, because that's what we've heard through elections, through people running, through constant questions that this government is not working or isn't working. For us to just to can it and not really diving into it, I have a hard time believing that to the people of what we heard time and time again. We heard it from the people themselves, and to just dismiss it, I I'm not saying, it may not go through, this may still be too much, but I think it's too soon for us to really just say no.
We should address this, Vince, I understand that.
Because people have asked us to look into this.
I'm for it, I'm just saying.
And it might not be the right way.
We had 12 months.
How long do normal charter commissions go for? Are we given a short amount of time?
Yeah, you
Yes.
got your packet.
I know what our plan is, but the previous one, how long did they have?
Oh, God.
I think we had 18 months.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
and that's the
Well,
problem.
no,
We're only
If you're trying to make this
Or 60.
narrow down, but if you want to
No,
continue
it has to be,
and
it has to
sort
be
of
done
the next
by September.
Yes, this, thing very dry.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm curious about how much longer the other ones have.
90 days.
Versus us being automatically dismissed.
I mean, you
Or
can-
adding something in there that the next commission needs to look into this.
I mean, you can ask the selectmen to extend it.
This was
And we want to get this into our big elections.
This was given to us to meet this November.
Right.
But charter commission do not have to disband, and you do not have to be ready to go this November. You can go longer. I think it was 18 months,
16.
something like that.
I didn't know.
And, so,
I'm not saying that we have enough time, I'm just curious to see what other ones did, because we keep saying
There's just a lot of conversation on this. I mean, even members of this board are against it before. We should have it this way with the first selectmen. We shouldn't have it this way. In fact, there's a lot of conversation.
I'm all for educating.
Trav, you
I
I
like
say
that
you're a strong
conversation.
no, because most likely what you studied out was things that going bad for the administrator. It's made headlines somewhere, right? That's really where you're.
Unelected persons making decisions against the public.
But the board, the 5-member board of selectmen is supposed to be making the decision.
But if they take that power away and give it to somebody who's unelected, that's the catch.
You don't give them.
So what's the difference between a town manager and a town administrator?
The
There has to
CEO
be-
of the town.
So-
He has full reign. That is very hard to stop. That's.
Okay, so we don't necessarily want an
We
administrator.
don't want an administrator, the way certain statutes are written, with manager is different.
So I gave you kind of like the last time, just a check sheet on both to kind of understand.
You did.
Yeah, I got that. I think we got that one, right?
I just don't want to dismiss it. And if it doesn't, we don't get it through or whatever, and we all agree, I just think we need to educate ourselves a little bit more on this topic first before we completely say, yeah, okay, we're definitely not gonna get this. Let's move on with focusing on the 5-member board select.
I know the first selectman was not here tonight, and I'm putting on a burden on him. I think that he even said that it could be time for administrator. I think he acknowledged that at one point that it may be a good idea. And
And he put this list together.
Mario,
Yes, yeah, and he put this list together for us.
yeah. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the list that we have to go.
Oh, no, I agree. But that's what, everything that all our topic has been based off of, really just this list.
to get discussion going, we have to.
I'm having surgery, so they're saying maybe a month. I have my surgery. I wasn't down when they said.
Our next meeting is
I'll probably
June 9th. Yeah, our next meeting is June
I'll
9th.
be
And you'll be
sad,
coming
I'm
to
going to
Michelle.
have surgery, so.
Your next meeting is June 9th, right?
June 9th.
But the only thing with the.
Something going on June 9th.
Is a few things that change.
Planning and zoning meeting.
It's kind of.
Well, of course, it's gonna be at 4.
Just the zoning meeting.
Yeah.
For a, for,
And they're meeting at the
Great.
library.
right, that's right.
High school, I believe.
Or,
Yeah.
or at least 3 or 4.
You know what that
Yeah,
was?
yeah.
Moved it up
Something
there.
with the rate.
Oh, okay.
Change that, yeah.
All right. Well, I couldn't understand why you're going to a moratorium.
Yeah, I think
Me
so.
for
For
no
the
sense.
procedure, I would have met three, six. What? Board of Selectmen, but, Board of Selectmen, on meetings and procedures, 5 to.
Board of Selectmen.
Oh, okay, never mind.
What number are you on?
Page 10.
5 to, C, where it's 2 members, quorum, and then
Yeah.
even though you want to change that to where 3 is a quorum, and that wording right there, I would just get rid of the whole thing.
Still the shop here, shows you that too.
Yeah, there's,
Oh, that would become a moot point anyway if we went to 5.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, so that should just come around.
Yeah, it's just word change. If we're gonna change that thing anyways, change that.
And you have to decide how many years, in office, but I still want to see that too.
I think the key thing is to talk about that is, if you're doing 5, are they all up 5 every 2 years? Or are they all set?
Yeah, most of them I've seen looking at different.
You're gonna have
colors
to
that they're
structure that.
Right. Just like like PC stuff.
Yeah.
You know, certain few are the following year, or following
There's a
years.
rotation.
Right. I don't think you can just do bang 5, bang 5.
No, it's, they're elected terms of.
Right.
Um,
Staggered 2-year terms.
Yep.
Elected at large for staggered 2-year terms. There should be 5-member board of selectmen elected at large for staggered 2-year terms. I think you're talking about a lot.
Of course, if you're gonna do a lot of the select, you're gonna have to add that.
Yeah, I'm still trying to understand, yes, the CEO is the CEO to do the job he's been hired to do. You can't break the law.
Okay.
If you break the law, you break the law in a criminal sense or an ethical sense, I don't know. But if you violate the law, you're gonna be responsible.
Ethics, the Ethics Commission is a quasi-judicial committee. As such, it is technically breaking the law if it is found reasonable, if it is decided, and it would be referred to the police.
The administrator doesn't just have the right to go out and do whatever he wants. I mean, he has a contract and it's all drawn up and signed.
And he would
I'm
have
not saying people don't
procedures.
go wayward, they don't walk the beaten path somewhere, but your problem is have a non-elected person have.
Non-elected and then about $150,000
I don't think
that we
you
have to pay a person.
pay a town administrator that amount.
$150,000, I mean, you're paying the finance director that kind of money. The finance director is saving the town more money and has saved the town more money by changing it from town treasurer to a finance office. He paid whoever was there for themselves many times over. And just how they handle money, investment interest paid for itself. So this idea of paying somebody, you've got to pay people today to do the job.
Correct.
And $150,000.
I don't think the money is going to be the issue
Yeah.
at all. I don't think that's going to be a sticking point at all.
No, it's not a major sticking point. My thing is,
Yeah.
unelected person being appointed to do things, and if someone doesn't like that person, they can't remove them. They can make complaints, but then again, you get
Well, doesn't that come down to the difference between administrator and a manager?
Probably, yes.
Okay. So we need to be very careful about
Or
what
power to
term,
give them, yes.
what
Yeah.
terminology
Power
we're
to hire,
using.
power to enter into contract.
Right.
Correct.
or
Right.
to working with the state or bonds or whatever.
I get that a lot with businesses.
How does the
They'll
town manager escape the same thing as administrator?
Well, they may bring in the people they want and not what the people want, and that's the catch.
Oh, which type?
So either way,
Manager
it's
or
got,
administrator?
Usually manage.
either way.
Okay.
That's the problem that I've encountered.
Right?
What?
Either way, is there a possibility to violate the law or?
Well, it's not so much violating the law, it's that people just don't like them, the problem is getting them out of the problem. That's the catch. And they can make a complaint, but it would require a lot. And right now, I've not seen that much in the town administrator. I've seen some places adopt it, but most of the times people want to expand the upper echelons of government in case they don't want that person. They can recall them, leave, whatever, that's the catch. That's what I've been seeing is that it's not so much that, okay, if the town wants to do an administrator or a manager, let's do it. Let's do that. But the problem that we've had in the past was there's no guardrails for a lot of things. And now we're giving the person without guardrails. And a system that already doesn't even have them. And that's the catch. That's my biggest
So this is
problem.
where you put the guardrails in.
Yes.
And they will be in the
You
charter.
can elect the first selectman that may not have any idea as a person, no idea, just,
You're
you got it for 2
$60
years.
million.
Huh?
You're getting in control of $60 million of running a town who got just by elected because people like him and he ran a cool campaign.
Yeah.
You know, he's gonna come in here
And
and
doesn't know what to do.
that's where you get.
And you have that person for 2 years.
And again,
And you
and I
can't
keep
get rid of
coming
it.
back to this, so which one can both, either of those positions be hired?
Yeah.
Or do they?
Administrator and manager can be hired, they're
Hired.
hired, right?
So it's-
But the manager's gonna have more say, more responsibilities, more control. Where the administrator ceases a lot of that control, and the board of selectmen of 5 tells me I'm doing A, B, C, and D.
Okay,
A elected official, you can't get rid of that person.
no, right,
The administrator can get removed
okay,
for not performing their task
okay.
by the board of selectmen who re-elect.
So what I'm hearing is that what we need to be looking more in depth into is a town administrator,
But
not a manager.
But with control.
Right.
By
By the town, by board of selectmen.
So if you did put in both, yeah, if you want to do a 5 BOS and an admin, yeah, I have no problem with that.
Say that again?
5 board of selectmen members
Yeah.
that then can oversee the administrator strongly, then I don't see a problem
Well,
with that.
that is the idea
Yeah.
that I, in my mind, is
Yeah.
what I know.
I envision.
Yeah. I can tell you the town I grew up with, and grew up in Rhode Island, actually has had a town administrator. My maid of honor spot was the town administrator.
Yeah.
So we used to hobble into the town hall at any important time. It's always been a town administrator with, and in that case, it's a town council, not a board of selectmen, but
But the board of selectmen keeps the true structure
Structure,
of
yeah.
Plainfield.
yeah,
We're not dismissing the people.
yeah.
We're not changing
Well, we have to
the
allow it
whole form of government. The
Right.
people are still the people.
and have the right to
They're
a
still
voice.
selecting the board that represents and that chooses the admin.
Right. And they still have the right to a voice, even though only 2% of them decided that they wanted to in this last.
I think administrator is going to carry out the policy of the board of selectmen, and I think more people would be happy that they get it. You know, I don't care, I'm not putting anybody down, I'm just saying, it's much more effective, continuity there.
So we need to really dive into the terminology of a town administrator, what that entails.
Yeah,
And-
Mario gave
I think if you
me-
look over some of the paperwork I gave you, and you take the time to read it,
Oh, yeah.
not even the one I just gave today,
Yep,
again, it's not gonna answer all the questions, but it's a gigantic.
this one.
Yes, it's a gigantic
Yeah.
push, like not even the first half, it is
Oh,
literally each chapter that will need to be addressed.
I know. And it goes back to, do we have the time? We have 90 days, that's all we've got.
And I gave you a couple of sheets too, of what, no, you got
Yeah.
administrative allowed, because, and you can change it. I just copied them because that's, you know, it's sort of legal thing that you don't really have to work on.
He did about the attorney, he said.
Yeah.
Approved the wording,
Remove something.
Yeah,
No, we didn't really make a motion.
We're gonna make a motion to
We
remove.
didn't make a motion to remove.
We don't have, why would we have to make a motion to remove? We don't need to make a motion, we just don't investigate.
Just don't send it forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll have a meeting anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so-
they're not, probably here.
Right, I'll go in here.
Yeah.
We don't know where we're going.
Where's it?
If the town hall is closed from the break or something, the planning zoning is at the auditorium.
We can do downstairs.
So I don't know how.
The town hall
It says-
actually closed on the 9th of June?
Well, it says we might have to move our site. I don't know what that means. All right.
At June 1st, they're gonna fence this off again,
Yeah.
so then big meetings won't be able to
We'll be able to be up
take
there.
place.
So we can do the.
Upstairs
Could
meetings.
we do a
Could we
meeting
meet downstairs?
downstairs?
Downstairs you can, because you can get access.
We have access right to.
Well, you have ADA compliance, right?
I'll just, I put,
I'll check,
I'll
yeah. And we Yeah, we're downstairs.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Second. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Gentlemen,